Greetings, mate, and welcome aboard. Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions. So, let's review OneOdio's closed-back Bluetooth A5 and find out if it's worth a purchase. We'll discuss build, comfort, sound, and more. By the time you're finished watching this strange video, you'll know if it's right for you, and if it isn't, I'll point you in the direction of something that is. Deal? Cool. Let's dive in. Starting things off, the A5 is rather light and nimble but seems to be built very well. The unit is mostly plastic but has metal adjustments and protein leather padding for the ear cups and headband. I would have liked to see a bit more real estate for Ed Bigheads, but I suppose you can't have everything.
Ed Bighead!
As long as your dome isn't the size of the Epcot golf ball, you should be fine. The A5 folds and contorts in a myriad of ways, contributing to its sleek, compact, and utilitarian overall aesthetic that plays extremely well on the go. Put simply, this is a gorgeous, stylish headphone and I have no qualms about wearing it in public. The cups rotate 180 degrees inward but not outward, and they also fold up for easy storage and a carrying pouch. That said, OneOdio for whatever reason didn't provide said pouch, and I thought that was strange. Definite points docked there. The protein leather encasing the memory foam pads feels nice and plush, but I will caution you that they may crack and or peel over time. That said, the somewhat elongated vertical shape of them mimics the ear quite nicely, and they're just big enough to envelop my auricles. If you have ears the size of Minnesota, you may be SOL, but most wearers will be just fine. Cup depth is somewhat shallow, but my ears aren't touching the cloth covering the drivers, which is always a plus. Another minor nitpick is the design on the outside of the cups. Aesthetically it's fine, but the small ridges collect undesirables and it can be a bit of a pain to clean as well. I've also noticed some small scratches and other blemishes already. Comfort. While we're dancing around the subject, comfort is excellent overall. Clamping force is tight-ish, but they fit snugly on your noggin and don't intrude much into the top of your skull either. As always, protein leather gets rather shiny during heated gym sessions, so expect a bit of perspiration on the cups depending on how hard you're slinging weights around. A quick wipe should render you good to go. In addition to solid build and comfort, the button layout is also excellent. The back of the right ear cup contains the volume up and down buttons, power button, ANC button, and USB Type-C charging jack. The ANC button cycles between transparency mode, ANC mode, normal mode, and AI-based adaptive noise cancellation mode. One thing I'm slightly disappointed in is isolation, as I think OneAudio's A10 did a better job of blocking out noise. For instance, before I sat down to do this video, I was trying to get some work done, but there were about 5 screaming kids right outside my apartment playing around in the dog park and causing a ruckus.
Could you describe the ruckus, sir?
The A5 does an okay job of blocking out most of the noise, but I can still hear them faintly at times, especially during quieter passages of a particular song. I expected a bit better here, but I'm not going to go apeshit over it. The other issue is that you can't turn up the volume to drown it out completely. Why? Well, let's find out why. Yup, you guessed it, the sound of the A5 is again way too bassy and suffers from almost exactly the same issue as the A10. Because I have almost 2 decades of experience EQing sound and listening to music critically, I can immediately tell if a headphone is tuned correctly the moment I press play. And unfortunately, the A5 is not. It's a crying shame considering how much I love almost everything else about them, but it has to be pointed out. The first thing you'll notice is an ungodly amount of bleed/hum, as the bass tends to overshadow the rest of the sound signature and feels like you're drowning in a sea of chocolate pudding.
Chocolate pudding.
And almost every single track suffers from this. Vocals are pushed back considerably, there's no sense of resolution or realistic timbre, and the treble, while not sibilant, lacks sparkle, zest, and zip. As my late grandpa used to lament, it's a complete mishmash. The only thing available is gobs and gobs of sloppy bass, as it becomes almost impossible to turn up the volume without blowing your ears out. Seriously, don't do it. I mostly listen to these at lower volumes because I value my hearing. And I really like OneAudio as a company, so I'm not trying to trash them. But if you're watching this, something has to change with regard to the sound signature. Please, for the love of God. I don't know how many other ways I can say it, but I'll try again. There are a few ways to properly tune bass. Let's quickly outline them. 1. Sub-bass roll-off below 40 to 50 Hz, 60 to 90 Hz emphasis, and a mud cut around 200 to 300 Hz. 2. Sub-bass shelf from 0 to 40/50 Hz. Subtle, maybe a 2 to 5 dB boost, 60 to 90 Hz emphasis, and a mud cut around 200 to 300 Hz. Number 3. Flat sub-bass, 60 to 90 Hz emphasis, and yet another mud cut around 200 to 300 Hz. Number 4. Flat sub-bass, flat around 60 to 90 Hz, roll off or flat in the mud areas. Number 4 would be something like a Hyphaman or Odyssey type of tuning, but typically an emphasis around 60 to 90 works best because this is where most of the relevant information of the low end resides. More precisely, it's where the wetness, slam, impact, lushness, insert word salad here exists. It's what makes hip hop sound amazing and why we love it so much. The Focus A5 simply throws a huge wall of bass at you and looks the other way. It's awful. There aren't any graphs available, but if I had to guess, there's probably upwards of a plus 10 dB shelf looking something like a Meze 99 Neo. And that headphone is a complete and utter nightmare, the likes of which you should avoid like the plague. If that graph wasn't enough, here's Michael Scott.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I'd bet money the A5 is similar to that, so if you enjoy your ears getting blown to bits, buy one today. Just don't say I didn't warn you. Again, I applaud OneOdio for the overall design, functionality, and aesthetic of their headphones. They make well-built products that stand the test of time, and the A5 is no different in this regard. Besides no carrying pouch, everything else is pretty much perfect. I would mention songs in particular, but almost all of them sound bad. Thomas Cruise is a great example of one, but honestly, the song ratio is 95% bad and 5% somewhat tolerable, but not really. To be frank, I want to take these off of my head about 10 seconds after pressing play, and that's never a good sign. Range is about what you'd expect and decent. Look for the sound to start cutting out around 30 to 40 feet unobstructed, and obviously less when going to the gym bathroom or something like that. Final verdict. OneAudio's Focus A5 is a gorgeous, well-built, comfortable, and functional headphone that suffers from major sound issues. In fact, it's quite ironic they named it Focus since I can't focus at all. The only thing I can focus on while listening to it is how blown out the bass is, but considering how much I love the Monitor 80, I have faith that this company will eventually manufacture a well-tuned Bluetooth headphone. But the A5? This ain't it. For the proper way to tune a closed-back, bass-oriented headphone, look no further than Fio's wonderful FT1. OneAudio, 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 OneAudio. Please take note. For my full Bluetooth rankings, I will have a link down below. See, when it comes to that 200 to 300 Hertz region, what you're gonna wanna do is go all Dave Coulier on that ass and cut it out. Cut it out. Get rid of it. Poof, be gone.